Good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. I trust that you are well today. I wanted to talk a little bit about all this Trump hate because there's lots of it, it seems, or at least that's what we're seeing in the media, and that's what we're seeing on social media, especially what we're seeing on TikTok and what we're seeing on not so much on Instagram in my feed because I've sort of adjusted my feed to where if I'm scrolling Instagram or Facebook, I could have a good day. Uh, I've not been able to figure that out on TikTok, so I try not to scroll too much on TikTok. It's way negative and way weird. So I'm just interested. I wasn't interested where all the Trump hate is coming from, and this narrative that Republicans or people who voted for Trump are now having buyer's remorse. We're hearing that more and more. You know, we find this one random person on TikTok or Facebook who says, "I voted for Trump, and I'm sorry I did. Well, I lost my Social Security, and I lost my food stamps, and I'm really sorry I did." And he's firing vets, and I'm a veteran, and what we're finding out is most of that is BS. And now the numbers are starting to show it. This whole buyer's remorse narrative, according to an NBC poll, I mean, we're not even talking about like townhall.com or Breitbart or the Heritage Foundation. We're talking about NBC. Um, Looking at the general move towards supporting Trump generally in January of 2024, about 20% of people were considering themselves a supporter of Donald Trump. Yeah. And then in October, November of 2024, up to 29%. And then in March 2020, excuse me, 36%. Now, a lot of this movement came not from the far left, obviously. It came from the Republicans. Check it out. In 14 months, in 14 months, people who identify themselves as MAGA. Now, I want to have a whole conversation about this whole, are you MAGA? What, am I Make America Great again? Or Keep America Great? Yeah. And how could you be an American and have that phrase? See, this is something that I don't get. How could you be an American? How could you live here, raise your family here, prosper here, start a business, go to school, enjoy all the freedoms that you have in America, right? And we do have some freedoms. My grandma would say we are so free until we are foolish, and then not want to either make it great or keep it great. What that phrase bothers you, and it bothers you because I don't know. Anyway, people who identify at Republicans who identify as MAGA went from 40% 14 months ago into 71% now. So this idea that Republicans are rejecting Donald Trump isn't true. This isn't true. Well, let's just deal in what's true. That makes things a lot simpler, and I'm a fairly simple person. So even with all this, read this. Even with all this, where is the majority of the Trump hate coming from? Where is it coming from? I'll tell you. It's coming from white women with college degrees. It's coming from white women with college degrees. Almost exclusively. We're going to show you some NBC numbers here in a second. And it's funny. If you cross section white women with college degrees, white women with college degrees want to more than anybody continue DEI programs. Almost more than anybody wants to support Zelensky. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but it isn't. Well, let's go ahead and look at some of the numbers. All right, so what we're looking at now is an opinion of Trump, positive or negative, and three particular categories here. We see white voters, and then white men with no college degree, and then white women with college degree. So in my mind, kind of that's those are polar opposites. If you only have like 4 points, I mean, because or actually we could have like 6 points, right? We could have white men with some college, white men with no college, white men with college degrees. Then you can have white women with no college, white women with some college, white women with college degrees. So you could actually have 6 points of contact there, but we only have four here. So we're dealing with white voters, white men with no degree, white women with college degrees. Now, just because you don't have a degree doesn't mean that you're a bum, doesn't mean that you're a hobo, doesn't mean you're homeless, doesn't mean anything. It may mean that you have gotten into a career field that didn't require a degree, and you're doing well and you're doing fine. You just don't have a degree. You own your own business. There is this spectrum of places for people to be without degrees. There is. Um, a professional musician, an artist. I mean, any place in the universe you could be without a degree. You can be. You shouldn't be a surgeon. You shouldn't be a surgeon. Um, but I think most everywhere else you could be. And then there's white women with degrees, and we could have that discussion about what degrees and all that kind of stuff. But let's not have that here. We're just going to talk in generalities here, because if you can't talk in generalities, you can't talk about anything really. Let's look at white voters. White voters have in this NBC poll. This NBC poll. This is not some conservative think tank. NBC poll. White voters, 52% have a positive feeling about Donald Trump over the 45% who have a negative view of Donald Trump. A net of +7. In that grouping, white men with no degrees have a positive feeling about Donald Trump, or opinion about Donald Trump. 69% to 28% who have a negative. A 41-point swing. White women with college degrees, only 29% have a favorable opinion about Donald Trump, while 67%. And if you look at this disparity is 38 points. 38 points. So if you want to know where the Trump hate is coming from, this is where it's coming from the loudest. This right here is where it's coming from the loudest. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like I mentioned, some of the other things that fit into that same category, which I thought was kind of weird. Here's the NBC poll opinion of. Same thing, positive, negative, right? And this is just the gap. Okay. This is just the gap. Like the ones on the bottom, like more, like over 41% more of white men had a favorable opinion about Donald Trump. And we saw, the gap for college women is 29 to, what is that? 29, let me look back real quick, 29 to 67. Now, on these polar opposites, Donald Trump, college white men, it's a 79-point swing from the gap of that white women with college degrees and white men with no college degrees. 79%. That's the largest chasm there. JD Vance, almost the same. 36%. I mean, there's a 36 point gap of positive to negative for white men with no degree. There's a 38% gap with positive feelings about JD Vance, the same. I think white women with degrees think that JD Vance and Donald Trump is the same person. Okay. White men with college degrees don't. So that Elon Musk, about the same. I don't know. They really don't like Elon Musk at all. At all. They're negative 40. Why? They loved him before when they were out buying Teslas. They loved him before. Now, the thing that I find interesting here is DEI. White men that with no degree really have a negative vibe about DEI programs. Interestingly enough, though, white women with college degrees love DEI. Love DEI. If you skip down to Zelensky, white men with no degree really don't trust Zelensky at all. Really don't. The gap is -5. The gap for college, the gap for college women is a positive 53. Really love them some Zelensky. And you can see the swing between white men with no degrees and white women with degrees is 58 points. Oh yeah, I skipped over the Democratic Party. Neither really are down with the Democrat Party, right now. And I think for completely different reasons. I think white men with no degree think that the Democrat Party is full of DEI, full of trans, full of all the things that they don't like or want. I think women with college degrees think that maybe the Democrat Party isn't doing as much as they should in their progressive efforts.
That is buying into the right-wing media narrative. And I'm so sick of Democrats like you selling out and saying this. You know who talks lose because we're playing the game with the rule book. They've ripped the rule book up and are cramming it down everybody's throat. And Democrats are upset because Joe Biden pardoned his son. They're the gender-obsessed weirdos, not us. We're the ones who fight for Social Security. We fight for Medicare.
I think that's where that goes. And again, if we look at white men with no college degrees, they have a more favorable opinion of the Republican Party, while white women with college degrees don't. And I think it's mostly abortion. I could be wrong, but I think it is. And the SAVE Act. White women with degrees are just pissed off about it. Okay. I don't think that most people care one way or the other. But that's what we're dealing with, really. It's kind of crazy. It really, really is. It really, really is. All right. I mentioned these diversity programs. So we're going to go ahead and look at these. This is an NBC poll, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. White men with no degree are of the mind, only 25% of them are of the mind to continue these programs. While 74% are saying, go ahead and end these programs, because actually these programs are an attack, virtually an attack on white men with no degrees. White men with college degrees, 40% say continue the programs. However, almost 60%, 59% in this poll say, yeah, you should probably end them because they know they're a target too. Now, white women with no degrees are like 43% of them say yes, 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 continue them, yes, girl. While 53% of white women with no degree say, yeah, you probably should go ahead and end these. However, because of what they've been taught, what they have learned, what they have taken to heart, white women with college degrees are like 68% of them say these programs must continue. Because the fact of the matter is that white women with college degrees are benefiting from these programs more than anybody. And only 31% say in the programs. Large disparity. Almost 70 to 30. 40 points or so. Interesting. But where's the hate? So where's the Trump hate the loudest? The Trump hate the loudest is coming from white women with college degrees. And we saw that in the first term with the March for Women. Remember that? People walk around with vagina hats on. Lord, what a mercy. Really? So that's where it's coming from. If you have a comment in the comment section. Talk about it then. Till we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, I'll take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.